Welcome to 2 Minute Podcast. It is the first episode of 2 Minute Podcast. My name is Daylight, and also here is our co-host Sky.
Hi, this is Sky, here for another episode of the podcast.
On today's topic, we'll be talking about how internet cafes are the future of computing because cloud-based software will make personal computers unaffordable. We'll also be talking about how this is linked to Joe Biden and how Cuba's protests are a perfect example of why computers are going to become unaffordable. So basically, we got an entire island of people, alright? And this entire island is protesting against communism. And then over here, we have a communist president named Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, of course.
Yep, Joe Biden. You got anything to add about Joe Biden?
I think that Joe Biden, he's fucking up here really much. He should be doing something about this, you know? He's sitting on his laurels in his fucking high castle. Yeah, fuck Joe Biden.
Joe Biden's a fucking shithead. He's fucking like... Everything he does is wrong, and cloud-based computing is a perfect example.
Exactly, you know. I think that instead, you know, he's limiting our rights by building up cloud software, you know. I think it's really gonna fuck us over in the future.
It is.
You're not going to be able to afford your own computer at this point, you know, because this cloud service is going to cost you like what, $600?
Exactly.
The only way to utilize the internet is like through internet cafes, you know. Especially Counter-Strike, you know, that's just gonna cost you like $500 just to use Steam. So like, what's the point anymore? Like, when you just fucking, you know, just kill yourself.
And
And that you might as well, because internet cafes are, you know, they're the worst, man. You can smell the tallow jowls of virgins, you know, the sweat, the smell of semen everywhere.
And honestly, like, if you think about it, like, you got companies like Microsoft making Microsoft Azure, you got Amazon making Amazon AWS, both cloud-based softwares. Like, that's the way computing is heading. And so if you look at this from the sky and you're just looking at it from a broad perspective, then you realize that just how expensive everything's going to be, because if everything has a monthly subscription, so just to use your operating system, say that's $100 a month, just to use Steam, that's $20 a month, and then to play CSGO, another $20 a month. And so you're just not going to be able to afford it. Most people aren't going to be able to afford to play games like CSGO, so they're going to go to
Not at all.
They're going to go to internet cafes.
Yeah. It all ties back to the internet cafes, you know, the worst fucking low rungs of society will be crowding in there. You're gonna have people jacking their worms in there and all that.
Well, of course,
sort of degeneracy.
if they wanted to say and OnlyFans is actually a perfect example of this because it costs a monthly fee, and that's just the way that things are going. Porn's gonna go that way. Everything's gonna go that way. Just to be able to log onto your computer, you're gonna have to pay a monthly fee for that, and so that's why people are gonna start going to internet cafes. Internet cafes, they're not bad. They smell bad. They smell very bad. Honestly, like, I was at an internet cafe earlier today just because I wanted to get the first-hand experience of what the world's gonna be like in a couple of years. And I tell you, dude, like, between like the high schoolers' crusty cum smell and the fucking just the yelling, it was like I couldn't even play a good game of CSGO. I couldn't have fun.
Right, I get exactly what you're talking about, dude. Speaking of the stinking cum smells in high school, I think around that time too. It was around the Biden administration, right? My gym teacher was in the locker room with me, and he said, "Hey, Sky, you think I could break this brick over my head?" I bet I couldn't, but I could still fuck you, you know. And yeah, I kind of wish gay people didn't spread HIV as much as they do, you know. But other than that, they're kind of cool. But tying it back to what you're saying about the cloud service, you know, I can totally see that becoming a problem in the future, and this is all due to the Joe Biden not intervening in the protests in Cuba. You know, I think really communism, you know, it's flawed, but you know, there's room for
Joe Biden is a communist, and that's the main problem. Is he's the reason that all of this is starting to cost more money, because Joe Biden himself is a communist, and so he wants everything He wants to make it so that people can't just live their lives. He wants everyone to be poor because he's a fucking communist. And the protests in Cuba are a perfect example of this because he wants people to be driving cars from the 70s just like they do in Cuba. And it's ridiculous. It's fucking
Yeah, I don't
crazy.
want to drive cars from the 70s. You know what that reminds me of? Pedophiles. You know who
Exactly.
drives cars from the 70s?
Yeah,
Pedophiles.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
And we don't want
Jeffrey
that.
Dahmer drove a fucking car from the 70s. John
He was a
Wayne Gacy
pedophile.
drove a car from the 70s.
Pedophile.
Exactly.
You know? And this is how it all ties into the big old pedophile cabal, okay? We didn't want to make this that controversial of a podcast, but we just got to address it.
Oh, pedophilia is not cool.
It's not cool.
No. If you're a pedophile, I would appreciate it if you just didn't listen any further.
Alrighty. Well, I think that wraps up today's podcast there.
Yep. And thanks for tuning in on 2 Minute Podcast. I hope you join again next time.